Uh, the Roopster and Baby Doll are here to kind of give you a recap of our weekend, just kind of let you know what's going on, what's new in the world of Red Alpha, some of the projects that we might be working on, just what's going on in our life behind the scenes, some exciting things that we have to share with you. And so I'm just excited. While you guys are logging in, new people that are tuning in, I'm going to go ahead and invite our TikTok family and get them on board. Check the messages, see if we can do this chat. Here's the chat. Good Monday morning, TikTok. We are already going on our Riverside, so we're a little bit ahead of you on the Riverside app, but we wanted to invite you to another episode of the Red Alpha Mugshot Monday podcast, where you know that my wife and I, Baby Doll and the Roopster, we talk about everything Red Alpha behind the scenes. But of course, those of you who are tuning in on Facebook and YouTube and of course TikTok, you know that it cannot be a Red Alpha Mugshot Monday without us talking about our coffee mugs of the week, right? And so I went with the classic best grandpa ever, right? This was a gift of ours. It was pretty cool. We got this gift, what about
Over a
10
year
months?
ago.
Was it a year ago? Okay, oh yeah.
Over a year ago.
Yeah, so when they knew they were pregnant, right? And so it was at my birthday, right? It was my birthday
It was in February.
in February. Okay, so we had got together, and then I thought that we were getting together like a pre-birthday party or something like that. We went to eat,
Yeah.
and then so anyway, so the surprise was that I was going to be and you were going to be a new grandma and grandpa with our second grandson.
grandbaby.
And so that's exciting. But I had I saw the mug and I was like, you know what? I need to go ahead and drink out of this mug today because I miss my grandsons.
Yeah.
For those of you guys who are grandparents, especially if your grandparents and you live out of town, you know what I'm talking about whenever you get to missing your grandkids. We try to make it out, and we have been pretty consistent making it out once to Austin and once to Lubbock to see our grandsons. And but we missed last month in Austin, right? And so my kids are already calling me and reminding me. And my son, I talked to him. He's like, he said, "I miss you." He said, "I guess I got kind of spoiled with you guys coming out here every month and all that stuff." And I said, "I miss you guys too." And we had just gotten so busy with projects, that it was like, oh, we'll try to make it today and and then it just gets to the point where it's like we can't make it, and it's like I hate to do that because I have like a little mindset that I use, when it comes to that. And if you're in business or you have anything that you split your time between, yourself, I guess people with jobs, they do the same thing, it's like, but somewhere along the way, I just kind of made up my mind that I was never going to be better for anybody else than I am for my own family. Right. If I'm better for my job, if I'm better for my business than I am at being your husband or at being a father or being a grandfather, then I personally feel that I'm doing something wrong. Right. There are different ways to provide for your family. Of course, financially, that's one way. But the word provide actually comes from provision, right? Provision. And so you have to be able to not only provide financially, but you need to be able to guide your family with the vision. Where are we going as a family? What do we have to look forward to? I want to give you the moon and the stars, right? I have to kind of cast that vision. And so there are different ways for a father and even a mother to provide for their families. And I want to make sure that I check all the boxes, not just, making sure that we have a roof over our head, but I want to make sure that your heart is right and that your mind is right and that you know that you're loved. And this goes to my kids and grandkids, that you know that you're loved, that you know that you're my reason why I get up in the morning, right? and that's one way to provide. Does your family, and I'm not calling anybody out, does your family know that they are the reason why you get up in the morning? That's something to think about, right? And when you have a family, when you have wife and kids and grandkids, if that's not enough to motivate you to get up in the morning, then there's something wrong. You got to get your mind checked, right? Because all I have to do is look at a picture and like, man, energy. I just get fired up just thinking about being able to make a trip, go buy a gift, and hold my grandsons, right? Hug my kids, right? Talk to my son-in-laws and daughters-in-laws, and just kind of like speak life into them and let them know how proud I am of all of them, right? But just the thought of that just fires me up. What about you?
Me too. Looking forward to our trips to go see our grandbabies and obviously also spend time with our kids. I mean, that's just it's something that I'm looking forward to. Like, we've got some trips planned for next week already, and those are like set already.
Set in stone.
Set in stone. Where they're not going to be changed for nothing. And so that, like, for this week, we're so busy this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then just looking forward to next week, it just makes it like, come on, we need to get through this, and it does give me like a energy to just get through all of our work for this week.
That's right. If we have to pull another 24-hour day,
We'll do it.
Whatever it takes.
No.
We've already, without even thinking, we're like, hey, we just got to get this done. We got to push through. And so there's been a couple of projects that we've, that we said, you know what, let's work straight through. And then we'll work till like 5, 6 o'clock the next day, get a little power nap, wake back up, and then, those power naps actually, for me, a power nap can do me a lot of justice. I don't need 8 hours of sleep all the time, but they do me some justice.
Yeah, I don't take power naps.
You don't
If
until it's time to go to sleep, right?
Yeah, if I can't sleep 2 to 3 hours during the day, if it's a nap, it has to be 2 to 3 hours. And if
Yeah.
I can't take that time, I won't take a nap.
Yeah, I get it. Something about the power naps for me, and I don't take power naps during the week, right? But like if we do an overnight thing, then yeah, I got to take a power nap, right? So if we're working 24 hours a day, I'm not going to work straight through the end of the day. I'm going to take a little 2-3 hour nap, try to refresh, and it works for me. And but then on the weekends, that's different. If we don't have any work or anything like that, then yeah, I'll take a nap. And the funny thing, whenever we go and visit our kids, that's nap time. And so if you don't want to take a nap, you got to have an itinerary. Let's, at 9 o'clock we're going to be doing this. We're going to do this on that. Do that. Can you go ahead and silence that? And so that way I can stay up the whole time. Because if I'm just sitting still, I either need to be eating or maybe watching a show or or I'm just going to start to doze off. That's just the way that I am.
And I will take a nap when we go to Lubbock, when our grandson takes a nap.
Which is never.
Well, he does take 2 to 3 hour naps.
Okay.
So whenever there's a chance, if he sleeps during the day and the afternoon, I'm gonna take a nap with him.
Yeah, I understand that. I'll take a nap whether he's napping or not. I'm like, that's my nap time sometimes. And but so that's my coffee mug. What did you bring?
Oh, well, I went with my "I'll be there for you."
Hey, friends.
It says, "I'd rather be watching Friends."
Hey, not me, but I'd rather be watching From. We've been watching a new show called From. Anybody in our audience? Are you part of the Fromily? We watch it every Saturday or Sunday. Every Sunday we're caught up. Season 4, episode 5 was off the chain.
It was
and
good.
People still say off the chain.
Yeah.
It was fire, whatever you want to call it. It was a great episode. We got some answers to some of the questions that we have, like what in the heck was in the water floating, looked like some pumpkin head, type like animals or monsters or whatever. And turned out to be Tabitha's dolls from back in the day.
Well, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it.
It's already Monday. If you haven't seen it now, then you need to step up your game. You're not really part of Fromily.
You're not part of the Fromily.
Yeah, if you're not watching the episode when it comes out, then then you're just a casual fan, and I have no love for you. No, I'm
And you
joking.
deserve to, for it to be spoiled.
You deserve to have a spoiled episode. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. But it's a great episode. My youngest daughter, and her boyfriend, they turned us on to that show, and you know, they haven't been wrong yet, right? It was From. I was like, man, that's a great show. All right, let's watch it. So it gives us kind of a connection with them. You know, it's like I'm always texting them like, hey, you know, ain't cooey, and you know, so we got like a running joke that we have,
And anything you see yellow,
everything you see
could be a
yellow,
banana peel or
banana
sponge.
peel is the Men in Yellow. So just really good shows, and that's part of if you guys have followed us for any length of time, you know that my wife and I's love or passion for watching shows has actually become a brand of Red Alpha. It's called Showmates. If you go to our website www.redacp.com, hover over on the side tabs and you'll see Showmates, and you'll see several of the designs that we have listed and for purchase, so you can support our business and our endeavors and all of our shenanigans by going and buying yourself a t-shirt, posting it on social media, letting everybody know where you got yours, and we will be forever grateful, right? And we don't have a design for From yet, because usually what we do, well, actually, it just depends. I mean, we started other shows where it's like immediately that's a showmate worthy show, and From is definitely one of those. And we're just gonna come up with some sort of design that makes sense, and something that we don't have to worry about copyright infringement, And so usually what we do is the word Showmates, right, in the font of the show, or little things that whenever you see it, you know that it's of the show. So,
But other people are doing it.
well, that's their thing,
That guy from YouTube.
Yeah. Well,
got his whole
we don't
merch.
want to call anybody out, because then he's going to get his channel shut, and then it's
knows.
going to be because of us,
There's
right?
a lot of people that watch.
Yeah, but some people got connections that we don't. So one time,
That's true.
that happened to us with an NFL team. I'm not going to say who it was, right? But we were knocking it out with some designs on Etsy, and it was great for a season. But then the wrong person saw it, and man, our channels got shut. Like all of the designs got shut down. We got kicked off of Facebook for like 3 years, and man, I had a severe case of FOMO, But by the time we got back in 2020, I'm joking. I don't suffer from that ever at all, and but it was 3 solid years to where it's like no Facebook, right? And so I couldn't post the work that we're doing. I was having to do it on Instagram, and TikTok wasn't even around like that strong yet, and so YouTube, I was barely getting that going. So, but anyways, no more copyright infringement for us. We'll leave that for everybody else who maybe got the stones to take that risk. I don't. We've been in business too long to be messing around with stuff like that, right? And so you won't see anything like that. If we do, we try to take it off or whatever. It's an old listing or something like that. Well, anyways, but so that's our coffee mug. What are we putting? What do we got in the cups?
So this is the coffee brand that we've been using. The beans.
Starbucks beans. It's a dark
Espresso roast.
espresso roast.
It's good.
Yeah, this will definitely get you up in the morning.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
and so this is the second or third time that we've circled back to that, right? And so I guess we're kind of like that, if there's something that actually does the trick. For me, the only purpose that coffee has in my life is to wake me up, right? If you wake me up, then we're cool. If you don't wake me up, then get out of my face. Right? You don't even have to taste good, because I don't put the sugar in I call that the foo-foo. And so the foo-foo is only good on the weekends. On Friday, I'll tell my wife, hey, can you hook me up with the foo-foo? And so she knows what I'm talking about. And really the foo-foo for me is just what is it, creamer?
I do half and half, and a little splash of like sweet cream.
Yeah.
It's nothing like.
No sugar, none of that stuff. Forget that. I like my sugar in the form of a soda, which is worse, but we like what we like, right? I mean, it's just, we all have our choice of sugar, where the source of sugar that we
Pick
like
your
it
poison.
from. Pick your poison, right? So mine's just happens to be sodas. I do like donuts to, and I do like all that. I like ice cream, and I like hog maw and pig feet, but it's my choice as far as a beverage is going to be a soda, Coca-Cola to be exact. So those are our cups, those are our coffees. I wanted to transition to our next segment, which I'm really excited about because it's actually on the topic of transition, right? And so, I mean, from the beginning of the year, we have been just back to back to back to back, vehicle wraps, signs and banners, and, firing on all cylinders pretty much. And it's a great time. It's a great time because we've hustled for a long time. We're going on 16 years of being in business. We're going on 5 years of my wife being full time. And when she came full time, of course, we had an idea that she would run the administrative type part of our business, but it doesn't work like that. She ended up being an installer, learning how to install, helping me in the production of banners and signs, and trimming up the panels and the vinyl for the wraps, and laminating, and running the administrative duties of our business, right?
Yeah.
And so, with the administrative in our business, it's not only, the invoices and the, sending out invoices and estimates, but it's also working with our graphic designers, as far as when a new project comes in, the project goes into our project management tool that we use, and then, she inputs all the details. Once a proof is ready, she sends it to the client. She's working back and forth with that. Once the design is approved, then she moves it over to a different card so that I can look at it, check out the file, make sure that it's good to go to print, and then I print it. And then she comes and she helps me laminate it and trim, and then there's the install, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But so the transition is right. We are like maybe going on 3-4 days with the new installer, and so just in a few days, I see it's made a change in me, right? Because it shows me what's possible.
Yeah.
It shows me what's possible, and especially if you have someone that is good at what they do.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't know. I'm not going to mention any names because that's not my place. Right. I'm just going to call him installer. Right. And so our new installer kind of reached out to us a couple weeks ago. Saying that he's interested in taking on an apprentice type role under my wing. Which that's kind of like, that I'm honored that someone would want me to train them, right? And of course he went out to other people, and I guess they didn't respond or anything like that. But anytime somebody comes to me like that, I'm like, let's do it. Let's
Let's try you out.
I'll at least consider it, right? And so after a couple of days, you kind of see the strong points and areas where you can definitely be a good positive influence in your new employees' life. And so I'm enjoying it because one of the things outside of doing business, right? For those of you guys who have known me for the past, 53 years basically, I've always had I feel like a calling to be like a mentor to people, in particular men, right? Because I'm a father that's involved, and I counsel even my adult sons, and I give them advice, and still and they've grown up with the good stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of young men that are growing up with no fathers. They have no father figure in their lives, or the father that they have, is maybe a weak father, and doesn't. It's usually generational curses that are being transferred, right? And so what ends up happening is you have a fatherless generation, whether there's someone there or not. it's a fatherless generation, and they don't have that vision that I was talking about earlier, right? The father, in my opinion, the father is the one that should be the one casting the vision, right? And then everybody within the family, they should be able to see the vision and at least have an idea of the direction that the father is trying to take the family in, right? But if the father doesn't do it, guess who has to do it? The mother, right? And if the mother doesn't do it, guess who has to do it? The children have to figure it out on their own, right? And so our goal is to raise children that can go out and rule and reign and conquer their world. That doesn't mean put people down, that means lift people up, but to go out in confidence and know that you can make an impact in your community, right? That's what it's all about. I was talking to our oldest son yesterday. He just called me because he said he missed me because, like I said, we missed a month of going out to Austin, and he was, just basically needing some time, with me, because I'm always gonna throw some nuggets. I'm always gonna impart some wisdom into his life. But we were talking about being a leader to the younger generation, and and we were talking a little bit about his job and how he works with people. Our son, he manages, I don't know, what did he say, about 20 people or more? It was more than me, and but he was basically all of the things that he has done, with his in his role. I have part, I've kind of, there's part of me in that, right? But of course he's his own man, right? And so there's things that he can teach me, which is awesome, and that's as a father, I've seen some memes, I've seen some videos where as a man, the only man that wants you to be better than them is your father, right? And so I'm not going to hold back so that I can be the only one that shines in my family, because if the father, or if one person is the only one that can shine, basically what happens is that everybody else has to dim their light, right? And then some people need somebody to believe in them before they can believe that they can shine on their own. Right. And so that's kind of my fatherless, when I'm talking about the fatherless generation, is that there are some people that all they need is just someone to believe in them, give them a chance, and then let them know that they can be great and that God has a plan for them. Right. And so that right there, the transition of having a new installer, lit a fire in me, because I remember how good I was at being able to speak life into other people's lives. And we used to do a lot of that whenever we were in ministry. And so it's one of those things to where it's like, even though we own a print shop, we also do ministry part-time. So basically that's the way that it works out. So the transition has been great for me, just having kind of a little bit of the weight on my shoulders lifted a little bit. But what has it had any impact in your?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, now, I've been able to work on more admin stuff, and not, because when both of us are out there on installs, and you've told me too, we have on our minds, once we get done, we have to, the designs, send proofs, talk to our designers, get them squared away so they know what to do while we're away. And then we've got calls coming in, and then we've got messages coming in through Facebook, text messages for quotes and stuff like that, and then sometimes we even have people that stop by, walk-ins, and so sometimes they've missed us getting all that, plus ordering and then picking up supplies. And I mean, it's just it's not hard, it's just a lot of things, a lot of tasks, or errands, or whatever you want to call it. But whenever you've been out there with the installer, I think I've been, catching up, getting us caught up. The production schedule, we write everything on our production schedule, and scheduling all installs, and then replying to our customers, like when to expect their order, I mean, just things like that. It's not hard. It's just a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of responsibilities
Yeah.
for one
For
person or
one
two
person,
people, right?
yeah.
And so anytime that you add another person, you're kind of dividing the responsibilities a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. But what it does is it increases your capacity to take on more.
Yeah.
That's what I found. Because whenever you came on board almost 5 years ago, for a moment it was like, okay, we're going to share responsibilities. But what happens is you increase your capacity to be able to provide the services that you offer, and then that attracts more business. It just works that way. And so with the new installer, basically what's going to happen, we're going to have more install work. That's
Yeah.
just the way that it works. And whenever somebody else comes on board, we're going to for a moment, like not even a season, but just for a short period of time, we're going to divide the responsibilities. But then the fact that we're increasing our capacity to be able to produce more, it's like a magnet that brings in more.
Yeah.
Right. So us as the owners, we have to always be like on guard, I guess, or recognize that the capacity, like we have grown our capacity. And so because we have grown our capacity, it's almost like an automatic thing, like a law of attraction, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you grow your capacity, more comes to you, right? And so that's just the way it works, right? And in the Bible, it's called stewardship, right? Whenever you can manage a little, God blesses you with the capacity to manage more. And then with that more, it's not, you have to be better than what you were in that previous season, right? Your mindset has to be better. I mean, you have to look at every area of your life and see where you can improve. And as of recently, we're trying to get back into the gym because that's an area that's been lacking in our lives. Thank God, well, recently, right? Thank God that we're still able to do it. I was up on a bus, like stretching, like Plastic Man,
Me
and
too. I was up there
yeah,
and
getting
with
up there because
Wendy and
yeah, because we need something different. We need a platform and two ladders or
balancing.
something like that. But it was in a position like on the front of the like a school bus, almost a short school bus,
Sure.
and so removing the graphic and putting it back on like with just a ladder, and you gotta like I'm serious. I was almost doing the splits, trying to do it, and then it's like get to the other side, do the splits on the other one, and I was just grateful to be able to do it.
Yeah.
And after we finished, I was like, I'm gonna feel that in about 2 days. And the reason why I say that is because for some strange reason, if you guys are workout buffs and into fitness, maybe you can answer this question for me. I don't get sore the very next day. I get sore 2 days later, which is weird. It's been like that my whole life, and so the next day I'm like, oh man, that was nothing. But then 2 days later, oh my legs and or whatever, the muscles really sore. But I'm grateful that I kind of like for the majority of my life, I was active and exercising, and I think it's helping me in my older years, right?
Yeah.
Because sports, playing sports, from middle school, even before that, elementary school, middle school, high school. Then I went into the army, and then after I got out of the army, I was playing a lot of softball, going to the gym and stuff like that. And so I've had a pretty active life, and even the jobs that I've had were like warehouse jobs, and it wasn't until I started getting into sales that I started to have a sedentary life, and I'm sitting down like a like a loser. No, I'm just joking. But so I had to go out and play some softball or something. I had to. I was so used to playing sports, and so not really. Those of you guys who have office jobs, don't. I'm just joking, right? If you're gonna follow us, you got to be able to take a joke because it's
Yes.
can't be too sensitive. But so it's I was grateful to be able to do it, right? I feel good today, and I'm ready to be hurt again. Right? And we will, because we got some stuff that we're working
Yeah.
on that we got to finish up, and we got some cool projects that we're working on, and what we're trying to do is just get good at managing the level that we're at, and making sure that we don't lose our minds in the process, right? Because we have to be different. We are transitioning from being in each other's face 24/7 to now you are working at our location in Hickory. We have a new install location on Oak Street to where we're doing our installs now. Praise God for that,
Praise
because
God.
that's something that has been one of our primary challenges when it comes to vehicle wraps is having to wrap outside or rent a shop, on a daily basis, and not having something consistent. Now we have something consistent, and we can fit not one, not two, not three, but up to four vehicles in the new shop. Where we got our friends from both LMT Electric and Trinity LLC coming out to give us some quotes for the electric. We got our friends with ProFlow coming out to check out for the mini split, and that's at the Hickory place. But then we got our friends and customers with right choice heating and electric, right? Heating and air,
Heating and air.
that are gonna look at our location in on Hickory Street to see if we can't get another mini split or two there, and so, man, it's a lot of stuff.
It's a lot of stuff going on.
It's a lot of stuff, and so and it's not going to slow down. So it's gonna require me to be better than what I was. Right? I gotta eat better. I gotta exercise better. I gotta spend more time in prayer. I gotta start feeding myself. With positive word, primarily from the Word of God, so that I can have all of the things that I need to be able to perform, at this higher level.
Yeah.
Right?
The one difference also that I noticed immediately was that you're not here.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever you're not here, for whatever reason, sometimes you go run an errand or go do something, and I stay back, and it feels weird not having you not having you around.
Mm-hmm. And so lately, what I've been doing is I've been coming in with a little cooler that I have, with water and ice and stuff, and I'm like, honey, I'm home with my lunch pail.
With my lunch pail.
It's kind of old school type, going
Yeah.
to work and coming back, and
It's weird
I've
seeing
been working
you.
in the salt mines on the train tracks.
Yeah, it's
and,
weird seeing you come in like that.
And so maybe one day I'll see if you can make me a sandwich, or make me some burritos or something, and then I'll go to work with my lunch, and then I'll sit with lunch, and we'll talk what dudes do whenever they
The
work
scuttlebutt.
the scuttlebutt. Maybe we'll trade stuff. I'll trade a burrito for your bologna sandwich, or whatever it is that our installer eats. It's like stuff like that, and but it's fun. It's a nice little transition, because
Yeah.
if you're husband and wife and you own a business, the stress that being an owner operator can have on your relationship, right? And so, with that knowledge, right, you have to be intentional about making sure that your relationship is right, right? In the beginning, whenever I talked about, being better for other people than you are for your own family, that was a philosophy that I adopted even whenever we were in ministry, right? Because it's real easy to get caught up in doing God's work, right? In ministry inside the church, that you forget your very first ministry, right? Your very first ministry, man, is your wife. And your very first ministry, women, is your children, right? And parents, your first ministry is your children, right? And if you're not doing it at home, but you're doing it for somebody else, you got your priorities mixed up, right? And you got to be able to do it at home. In fact, the Bible says that you're worse than an infidel, right? So, not my words. That take that up with God. But so I refuse to be better for anybody. And so what does that mean? That means that I refuse to be better for my customer than I am for my wife and for my children. And there's sometimes when you just have to say no. There's sometimes when you just have to say, hey, you know what? Our hours are 10 to 6, Monday through Friday. It's the weekend. We'll talk to you on Monday, right? And so not to leave anybody hanging, but to also set some boundaries. Because where you don't have boundaries, we learned this recently, where you don't have boundaries, there's going to be chaos, right? And so the illustration that we saw, or that we learned, in church, was the difference between a swamp and a river. The difference between a swamp and a river is boundaries. Swamp has no boundaries, therefore it's a swamp.
It don't
Right.
go nowhere.
It doesn't go nowhere. It's stagnant. The things that live in a swamp aren't, the things that want to.
They don't bring life.
Yeah, you don't invite them to the Christmas party. Those guys don't get a Christmas card. But the ones in the river, right? Stuff's moving, stuff's
Yeah.
growing, stuff's alive, because of boundaries. And so, as individuals and as business owners, you have to properly set boundaries, right? If you set those boundaries, then you put yourself in a position to where you can thrive, right? And so, speaking of boundaries, I'm going to touch a little bit on the last thing that I'm that's on my mind and on my heart, and you'll see it in our blog posts. But for those of you guys who maybe are new to the channel or new and following us, you might have seen some posts that I made on social media, that are from the Behind the X's and O's. The Behind the X's and O's is just an idea that I had, to talk about the things that go on behind the scenes, right, of running a business. And so we hit them often on our on our Mugshot podcast, right? And so, but I guess for the last few months, I'm not sure, if at the beginning of the year for sure, I've been doing a daily blog on our website called Behind the X's and O's. And so, in there you'll see topics like the one I'm going to discuss, but it's about stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And the most recent blog post was, it just came off of a word that I feel that was downloaded into my spirit. It was about red flags, right? And so, the thought came to me like this: red flags aren't red lights, right? You don't have to stop when you see a red flag, but it might be a good idea for you to slow down and proceed with caution, right? That's the thought. That's the word of wisdom that I feel like was downloaded into my spirit. And I turned that into a blog post with the help of Claude, right? And so I said, hey, this is what I want to talk about. These are the things that I want to use as references. This is, something that came to mind. Do your thing. And it knocked out another banger. And so go and read it. Go to our website at redacp.com. You'll see the Behind the X's and O's blog and several others. I mean, I've done the Petty Elf, the story of Fred the Clown. Just some cool stuff if you like to read, right? And the blog posts are only like 5-minute reads, so anybody can read for 5 minutes. And it's going to be something that's going to make you think. It's going to, hopefully inspire you. But so the topic of the red flags is going to turn into a small series, and it's going to be the first topic that we discuss in our first ever live stream of Behind the X's and O's. I don't want to call it a podcast, episodes, right? Show, right? And so I already have our first guest that's going to come out. I think that we're going to do this sometime in June. So stay tuned for the new show of Behind the X's and O's. We're going to live stream to our Facebook page, YouTube, on TikTok, probably LinkedIn, and if TikTok, if you can get your stuff together so that way I can connect you to my Riverside, that would be great, right? But if not, I'll do it just like this, and then. So if you're following us on Facebook and you haven't followed us on TikTok or you haven't followed us on LinkedIn, do us a favor and follow us on all the channels, because it helps us to be able to qualify to be able to do live streams. And we want to do more live streams, like this. We use our love for coffee to come and just kind of let you guys know what we got going, where we're at, let you know that we're doing okay, and we got a lot of irons in the fire, and right now we're grateful because every day we get to wake up and we get to see how God's hand has been in our lives.
Yes.
Right? There is a season where it's like, oh God, where are you? Right? But we're not in that season anymore. We're in the season of being able to look around in a 360 degrees and see God's hand at work. And if you look closely, you can see where his fingerprints were always there, right? But the problem is that the problem was bigger than the fingerprints. Not that the fingerprints didn't have any significance. It's our focus was wrong. We were focused too much on the problem that we didn't recognize the fingerprints of God. And man, that's a big one right there. I just inspired myself, right? That the fingerprints of God are all around us, right? You just have to be able to narrow your focus sometimes. Because oftentimes, as business owners and just as regular people, right, you whenever you have a problem, you magnify the problem, and then therefore you're shrinking down the solution, right? And if God is the source of your provision, it's the same thing. If your problem ever becomes bigger than the God that you serve, right, you're always going to be ruled, and you're going to be overwhelmed, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't too long ago whenever I told my wife, I said, you know what, children of God don't get overwhelmed. We're not created to be overwhelmed. We're created to be above and not beneath, to be lenders and not borrowers, right? And so I believe that. I believe it blindly, right? And so if I'm beneath something, then there's a problem,
Yeah.
right? There's a problem with me because the plan is for me to be above and not beneath. Give us a shout out, an amen, if you're feeling that. Let us know that you're here, that you're alive. TikTok, I see all you guys joining. I appreciate that. Do something, like, share, whatever it is that TikTokers do. Show us the love. Somebody give us a chat on Facebook or whatever. Let us know that you're also tuning in, YouTube, things like that. And so, but I think that we're done for now, right? We want to thank everybody for tuning in on TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Thank you guys for joining us this morning for another episode of the Red Alpha Mugshot Monday podcast. We hope that you enjoyed some of the content that we shared with you today. The conversation is never scripted. It's always from the heart, from the hip pocket, however you want to call it. I can talk about this stuff all day. I don't need a script. It's in me. It is in me. And so, I bleed Red Alpha red, and I'm all about my business, right? And I'm all about my family. And I'm all about being the person that I need to be for the people that I need to be that person for, right? And then beside me is my partner in crime, my baby doll. She's the one that just gives me a daily reminder that I have a reason, right? All I have to do is look over and there she is, boom, motivation, right? Because our kids are in Austin and Lubbock. I don't get to see them regularly. They're grown, right? So we've been empty nesters for a while, but I have to think about them. But my wife is here. She's a physical, expression of my reason why. And so I'm grateful for you. So we're going to go out and kick some butt. I invite you guys to go out and kick some butt today. Don't get your butt kicked. Go kick some butt, and then report to us. Let us know how you kick that butt, and then we will celebrate with you, right? But that's all for now. Thank you for tuning in to the Red Alpha Mugshot Monday. Red Alpha out.
Red Alpha out.